Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know to absolutely crush the AWS Certified Data Engineer Associate exam. All right, let's just dive right in.
So this is the big question, right? How do you master this thing? And listen, this isn't just about passing a test. It's about opening up a huge new chapter in your career. We're going to lay out a clear path to get you there.
First things first, let's talk about the opportunity here. Getting this certification, it's way more than just another line on your LinkedIn profile. It's you stepping up to meet a massive industry need.
And this really gets to the heart of it. There's this huge, and I mean huge, demand for skilled data engineers, but there's a pretty low supply of folks who can actually do the job well. That gap, that is your opportunity. This certification is your ticket to proving you've got the chops. Okay, so how do you prep for this thing? Let's start with the official blueprint. You got to know the rules of the game before you can win it, and that's exactly what this is. So here are the key stats. You've got 130 minutes on the clock to answer 65 questions. It's going to be multiple choice, multiple response. The whole thing costs $150. Just knowing these numbers helps you game plan for the big day. No surprises. And what's really cool is that AWS itself gives you a 4-step plan. It's super simple. Get to know the exam, brush up on your skills, practice a lot, and then finally figure out if you're really ready. It's a straightforward but super powerful roadmap, and we're going to follow it. Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. Honestly, the best way to get ready is to just get your hands dirty with real exam-style questions. So let's break a few down and see how these big ideas actually show up on the test. All right, scenario 1. Picture this. You've got a glue job. It's processing files, writing them to Redshift. But every time you rerun it, you get duplicate records. This is a super common, classic data integrity problem. So what do? What's the play here? How do you handle new data without messing up what's already in your data warehouse? This is all about making your data loads repeatable, or what we call idempotent. Let's look at the answer. The right way to do this is with a staging table inside Redshift. You load your new data there first, then you run a little SQL to merge it into the final table. A really common mistake is trying to use a function like drop duplicates. But here's the catch. That only cleans the data that's currently being processed in your job. It has no idea what's already sitting in your database. The fix has to happen inside Redshift. Okay, next up, performance. You're dealing with millions of teeny tiny little JSON files in S3, and your glue job is just crawling. This is the infamous small file problem, and it is a notorious performance killer. So the question is, what's the smartest way to speed this thing up? Do you spin up a whole other service to fix it beforehand? Or is there a better, kind of built-in way to do this? And the answer here reveals a golden rule of AWS. Always use the built-in features when you can. The right move is to just turn on AWS Glue's own file grouping option. It was literally designed for this exact problem. Sure, you could build a whole Lambda function to group the files, but why? Why add all that extra code, complexity, and cost when Glue has already solved it for you? All right, our last practice question is about optimizing queries in Amazon Athena. Your queries are painfully slow, you're scanning uncompressed CSV files, and you're almost always filtering on the same column. So what's the secret sauce here? How can you change your data so Athena doesn't have to work so hard, which means it runs faster and costs you less? Here's a hint. It has everything to do with the file format. It really all boils down to the difference between row-based formats and columnar formats. The best answer, by a mile, is to convert your data to Apache Parquet. Because Parquet is columnar, Athena only has to read the one column you're filtering by. It can just ignore everything else. Just compressing the CSV doesn't work because Athena still has to scan every single row of the file, from top to bottom. Okay, so after going through all that, how do you know, really know, when you're ready for the real deal? Let's talk about how to do a final check on your readiness. A really solid strategy starts with a checklist. Can you honestly say, yep, I can do that, to things like building a Glue pipeline from scratch or using Redshift sort keys to optimize performance? This isn't just about knowing the terms. The exam tests if you can actually do this stuff. Now here's a great way to see your progress. You can turn that checklist into a personal scorecard. Just be real with yourself. What topics have you totally mastered and what still needs a little bit of review? This helps you focus your last-minute study sessions where they'll do the most good. So, you've gone over the blueprint, you've practiced questions, you know where your gaps are. What's the absolute best way to close those gaps and walk into the test with total confidence without, spending a fortune? Well, the secret is actually pretty simple. More practice. But not just any random practice. It has to be targeted, It has to be realistic, and it has to be affordable. That's the quickest way to turn those needs review slices into mastered.
And this is where it gets really good. The material for this whole explainer, it comes from cloudcertificationstore.com, where you can get full-on practice exams for less than $10. This makes top-notch practice available to literally everyone.
But hey, don't just take my word for it. People who have used these materials consistently say that over 90% of the questions were a dead ringer for what they saw on the actual exam. That is some powerful proof that you're not just practicing, you're practicing the right things.
So the last question is really for you. With a clear plan, a deep understanding of how the questions work, and access to affordable, spot-on practice, are you ready to stop just studying and start passing this exam with total confidence?